Comfort is the ego's way of casting illusion over a human to keep them from experiencing what true personal growth is all about. And comfort is something that we constantly need to check in with ourselves to see if we are stuck in a hold that is keeping us or preventing us from moving forward in a way that is going to show us a much higher and better version of ourselves. Now, comfort is something that can happen on a physical level as much as it can happen also on a much deeper inner spiritual level as well too. And that can come in the form of the beliefs that we hold on to, beliefs about ourselves, beliefs outside of ourselves. It can come in the form of our homes, of our material goods. All of those things can contribute greatly to the reason why we end up becoming far too comfortable in our lives. And the problem with that, once again, is that we hold ourselves back from experiencing what we were always intended to experience as humans, which is evolution. When you look outside within the world, you see that we are given a perfect representation of what happens within the world of nature that also is intended to happen with humans. It happens within our bodies when we shed ourselves and renew ourselves. Even our skin renews itself. So to hold on to things because they seem and feel familiar and they give us a sense of comfort is not in itself wrong. But when we're holding on to them as the only hope and sense of peace and security for ourselves in our life, that's when it becomes troublesome, because inevitably what it is going to do is contribute greatly to our suffering later on down the road. The reason being is because inevitably it is going to leave us at some point in time. It is going to dissipate. And if we're holding on to it as the only thing that we foresee as tangible evidence of what gives us any type of hope in this world, it's just going to contribute in the end to a lot of suffering. I myself know a lot about constant change. I have been under constant change myself since I was a very young girl. Change that sometimes I was forced into, that I had no choice, some that I chose on my own. Most of the changes that I went through from probably about the age of 13 to the age of my early 40s were more physical changes. But recently, I've undergone a great transformation of spiritual change from within, and that came from accepting challenges that were given to me. If I hadn't accepted the challenges, I would still be enjoying my life, I'm sure, to a varying degree, but I would not be growing as a human. And I know, because when I look back over the last year and a half when these challenges first started, I can see how much it is that I've grown. I've released and let go of a lot of the things that held me back from experiencing that growth. One of those things was having a face on social media, talking about things in the beginning that I knew I wanted to be able to express to others. I just didn't know how that was going to happen. And although it wasn't expected that I was going to come on here and take the world by storm, there were certain aspects of myself that I knew needed work. And that meant that I needed to take the challenge of making more of an appearance or accepting whatever it was that the universe was dropping into my lap and saying, okay, it's time to do this. Okay, it's time to let go of that. And a lot of it came from this idea, mental idea, that I needed to be perfect, that I didn't want to be hated or disliked or, come across a lot of the hate that a lot of people, influencers, do. I also feared imposter syndrome, thinking that what it was that I was delivering wasn't coming truly from me and wasn't authentic. What I recognize is that for every time that I stepped up to the challenge, I was rewarded with a deep inner wisdom that just flowed through me. I don't know where it comes from, it just does. But that's because I've accepted being on the edge of that growth. I've accepted the challenge of going in knowing that I'm going to be rewarded. And sometimes that means that in the beginning you do fail, you do fall flat. But one of the greatest things is that I can look back on where I started, a year and a half ago, and recognize how much it is that I've grown. Don't ever erase all of the periods within your life that you look back and you go, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. Ugh, it's cringe. No, it's a part of the growth. And that's how I look at the evolution of humans whenever it is that I come across certain content creators. I know what's going on in their life when I see things. I know what period of growth that they're in. And I know inevitably if they continue to go, what the final outcome of that growth is going to be. They'll also probably look back on those periods of their life and go, oh my gosh, why did somebody not stop me? But it's intentional. It's intentional for us to actually be able to viably see physically with our own eyes how much it is that we have truly grown. If I hadn't accepted the challenges, there's no doubt that my life would still have been wonderful in many ways, but it wouldn't be as wonderful as it is right now. And I've lost people along the way, and I know that there are a great amount of people within family and friends and people who've known me from my life before who probably think I've flipped a switch. But what's really fantastic about that is I don't care, because what it is that I have replaced with who it was that I was prior is something that cannot be personally explained unless it is that you accept the challenge yourself. And sometimes those challenges come in very small forms to start, little things. And if we don't accept the challenge of those little things, guess what happens? The challenges come in the form of something major. And when the major challenge comes, if we haven't learned how to accept the smaller challenges first, the suffering is that much more. It's an inability to be able to accept that you were given certain crumbs along the way that were going to help you to be able to deal with whatever it is that life throws at you. And when life does throw you something big, you know, if you've accepted the smaller challenges prior to that, that it's because there is something within that challenge that is going to inevitably help you continue to grow. When we're looking at the world currently right now, what we see are a lot of people holding on to an old way of life that feel it should stay exactly as it's been for many years. It's not possible. Regardless of what it is that you think, evolution is going to happen on a smaller scale as much as it's going to happen on a grander scale, which is happening right now. You can let go and release by becoming an observer, by recognizing that regardless of what it is that you think and feel, it's going to happen anyways. And the only thing that you can do is allow it, accept it, because when you do, things flow a lot easier than they do when you resist the change that is going to happen and come, irregardless of what it is that you think and feel. So, once again, don't allow the ego to create that illusion by making you think that comfort is this great thing. It isn't. And if in fact you feel comfortable, it is now a great opportunity for you to look around and start to accept that there could be something that's going to come in that could affect that comfort. And if it does, how are you going to rise to that challenge? How are you going to accept the evolution of what it is that's being proposed to you? Much love and light.